This is McCollum, and thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us and for allowing me to speak with you. My name is Kurt Bennett, and I am the chair of Peddie's English department. I wanted to share a quick overview of the short answer and essay components of the application, provide some guidance on how to approach these questions, and also explain why these strategies are effective. As an overview, there are 3 short answer questions and 1 longer essay question. The shorter questions require 200 to 250 word answer. The essay asks you to choose 1 of 5 prompts and write 250 to 500 words. As you begin the short answer and the essay questions, I would strongly encourage you to work off a Google or Word document and then copy your final draft over to the application rather than write the answer immediately in the application itself. And this is because Google Docs or Microsoft Word are going to be more conducive to the editing and revision process than the application itself is. And that's no offense to the application at all. It's just the nature of the online application platform and templates. Our English department believes that writing is a process rather than an instantaneous production. We emphasize the drafting process as much as the final product itself. We conference with you as we write. We provide interim feedback and often will allow you to revise your essays after we've graded them and gotten you feedback on them so that you can help reach your potential as a writer. Similarly here then, I would encourage you to begin that writing process for the questions early on a separate document. After your first draft, step away from it for a day or 2, then come back to it. Does your answer sound as good as it did the first time that you wrote it? Are you noticing anything new this time around? Don't be afraid to repeat this process multiple times if it's necessary. When you feel good about your answer, print it out and read a hard copy out loud with a pen in your hand. Often your ear, with its innate sense of rhythm, is going to pick up on awkward moments, and your eye will notice more errors on a hard copy rather than on a screen, because on a screen you're used to skimming and scrolling rapidly. In terms of the content itself, let's look at a slide with some of the prompts for the short answer essay. You'll see that in each of these, the general framework asks you to give an answer that's specific to you and then explain the importance or significance of that answer. For these questions, I would encourage you to be as specific and authentic as possible. You're looking to demonstrate what makes you unique, so trying to give the answer you think the admissions office wants to hear, or giving the answer you think most other students will give, that takes away the opportunity to share what distinguishes you. This also links to the second component of the short answer questions, which is to explain the significance or meaning of your answer. This is more difficult if you give an answer you think others will want to hear, as you can't authentically explain that significance. So you're likely going to lean on broad generalities or cliches in order to do so. But by being authentic, you can give the reader an honest and specific answer as to why your response matters to you. This aligns well with the advice I would also give for the longer form essay. For the longer essay question, I would encourage you to think of writing in terms of telling a story rather than giving a literal explanation. And before giving you an example of this, I think it's worth asking why a story would be preferable to a straightforward explanation. In our English department, we think that stories can at times better embody ideas or themes than a straightforward description, because by dealing with specific characters and situations, they embody these ideas in complex, unique, interesting individuals and situations. Were you only to explain an idea in its explanatory form, for example, trying to explain what courage is, the reader would bring to that explanation their own preconceptions about courage, their own personal examples, their own experiences, and so forth. On the other hand, though, if you tell a story which deals with something like courage through characters and situations, the reader loses themselves in that world that you create, and they're open to experiencing and understanding what courage means to your characters and to you as an author. So, what does this look like in practice? Here's a slide that excerpts a scene from a student's autobiography project their junior year. And as a quick aside, one of the major assignments for Peddie's junior English class is the autobiography, where students are asked to talk about who they are and where they come from using narrative storytelling. Here's the excerpt. One evening, a moth flew in through the window of my family's Bronx apartment. It settled on a mint plant growing in a little clay pot, then flew back out. The next time we went to pick mint leaves for our iced tea, there were caterpillars the size of my fingernail inching along the undersides of the leaves. Every day, I would climb the windowsill to watch them furiously devour our leaves. Although they lived in an environment not meant for moths, they grew. One day, we noticed white cocoons hanging from the half-eaten leaves. Later, we returned home to find moths flying around our apartment. My mother let us enjoy them a little while longer until she said, "We have to let them go. They will fare better outside." So we opened our window and watched them fly away. On the surface, this isn't about too much. Moths in a window, right? But I would guess that for some of you, as I read, you found yourself in that Bronx apartment watching those moths grow. You might have felt the author's fascination with the moths. You might have felt a sense of happiness when they were able to grow in an environment not meant for moths. You felt bittersweet when they were ready to leave and fare better in the world outside. Your feelings point to an idea in the story that even in harsh environments, growth is possible. And furthermore, that this process of growth might inevitably lead to a moment when it's necessary for someone to move on to the next stage in their journey. And that idea is relevant and universal. But had the author only tried to explain that to you without a story, you would have brought your own preconceptions of what constitutes a harsh environment, what constitutes growth, what is meant by the necessity of moving on. But by writing through a story, you're able to invigilate yourselves from other applicants, to show through immersion in your experiences in your world what makes you unique and what is important to you. Given that focus on specificity and meaning in both the long answer and the short answer questions, that means you're likely not going to be able to list all of your accomplishments in this section of the application, but you will have that opportunity to do so elsewhere in the application. Here, I would say we're going for depth, not breadth. I'm always happy to talk further about the writing process or about Peddie English in general. So if you have more questions, definitely feel free to reach out. Otherwise, thank you again for taking the time. Best of luck with the application process, and I hope to see you in our classrooms next fall.